Hello everyone, I'm Vivek Agarwal. I'm a chartered accountant, company secretary in LLB, and in this video we'll be discussing the GST modified returns. Earlier the government had said that the government was planning to introduce the GST new returns, but now the government is planning to introduce or modify the existing GST returns. So we'll just have a brief about what would be the major changes in the modified GST returns. First, we all knew that the new GST returns were applicable from 1st October 2020, and the new modified GST returns, the modified GST returns would be one of the important change would be that the GSTR1 is for outward supply. We all know already. So the GSTR1 will be linked to GSTR3B. Right now, what we are doing is we are filling up the outward supplies in GSTR1 invoice wise and the summary of the outward supplies in GSTR3B. So there are chances of mismatch between GSTR1 and GSTR3B. So the government wants to avoid these cases, and hence the government is planning to integrate both GSTR1 and GSTR3B by linking both the returns. Suppose you enter the data in your GSTR1 as outward supplies, that data will automatically get populated in GSTR3B as well. And the tax computation on the respective tax amount is also done automatically. So once you fill up the data of outward supplies in GSTR1, the data goes to GSTR3B, and from the GSTR3B, the tax is also automatically computed. The GSTR2A will furnish the status of suppliers, whether they are filing the GSTR1 and GSTR3B or not. And GSTR2A is going to be integrated with ICEGATE for ITC on GST paid on imports. So what is it about? GSTR2A will furnish. Let me just have the spotlight. So GSTR2A will furnish the status of suppliers, whether they are filing the GSTR1 and GSTR3B or not. So GSTR2A will have one more facility where the recipient can check whether the suppliers have furnished the GSTR1 and 3B or not. Now in the existing GST returns, there is always an issue that even if the amount is reflected in GSTR2A, we are not sure whether that supplier has paid the amount of tax on it to the government or not through GSTR3B. So in GSTR2A, the government is planning to introduce a concept or a feature where the recipients can check that the suppliers have filed their GSTR1 and 3B both, not just GSTR1. Another feature of GSTR2A is the GSTR2A is going to be integrated with ICEGATE for ITC on GST paid on imports. We all know that for the imports and exports, right? These transactions are reflected in the ICEGATE portal, that is the customs portal. So with respect to the imports, what do we pay? We pay the IGST amount. So with respect to imports, we had to file manually the IGST amount paid. Now the government is planning to integrate the 2A with the ICEGATE portal so that the IGST paid on imports is automatically reflected in 2A. Now 2A does not show the IGST that you have paid on imports, but as per the new modified returns, this feature would be available where 2A will reflect the IGST paid on imports. Next, table number 8A. Table number 8A will have invoice level integration for easy reconciliation. This is one of the important features. Table number 8A, we are talking about GSTR9 annual return. In our another video, we have already discussed this feature in depth. So table number 8A of GSTR9 gets the data auto-populated from 2A, and there was a lot of mismatch between the table number 8A data and the 2A portal data. Though both the data is from the portal, there was mismatch between the table number 8A data of GSTR9 and the GSTR2A data of the portal. So to reconcile these differences, the government is providing table number 8A auto-populated data with details so that we can match the table number 80 data with GSTR 2A portal data and reconcile what are the differences. This is a very good feature for us. Now, integration for easy reconciliation, invoice level integration for easy reconciliation will be provided. So basically, table number 8A will have invoice level data for matching with the 2A reconciliation. The new GSTR 2B, till now we had GSTR 1, GSTR 3B, and GSTR 2A for the data which is uploaded by my suppliers. Now GSTR 2B is to be introduced. What is the objective of GSTR 2B? GSTR 2B is to be a static monthly statement and will have invoice level ITC available and unavailable. So from the GSTR 2A, we know that GSTR 2A is a dynamic document. So it is difficult for the taxpayers to understand to which date the GSTR 2A, the ITC which is reflecting in GSTR 2A is to be considered in the returns. So this was creating a lot of confusion. So the government has introduced another statement GSTR 2B, which is static. So the data from GSTR 2A will get auto-populated in GSTR 2B. From 2B, the data will directly go to GSTR 3B. In our first slide, we have discussed that the data from GSTR 1 will be auto-populated in 3B. We don't have to include the data from 1 and 3B separately. So in the first slide, we were talking about the data, auto-population of data of outward supplies. Auto-population of data of outward supplies from GSTR 1 to GSTR 3B. Now we are talking about the auto-population of data of input tax credit from GSTR 2A to GSTR 2B, from 2B to GSTR 3B directly. So GSTR 2B is to be a static statement where the data will flow to GSTR 3B. In GSTR 2B, there will be two portions of ITC available and ITC unavailable. GSTR 2B will look like this: ITC available and ITC not available. Here the reference of GSTR 3B table is also provided. Then these are the tax amounts: integrated tax, central tax, state tax. So from 2A, the data will get bifurcated into all other ITC, that is supplies received from registered persons. From here, this 2261 will go to table 4A5 of GSTR 3B. Then inward supplies from ISD will go to 4A4 of 3B. Inward supplies liable for reverse charge, this will be matched with 3.1D. We all know that GSTR 3B, we mentioned the data of RCM as our outward supply. In table number 3.1D, there is a specific row of RCM where we mention the liability of RCM. Then the same liability we mention in table number 4 and claim the ITC for it. So for RCM, inward supplies liable to RCM, the data will be cross-checked with 3.1D and table number 4A3, it will get auto-populated. Then, as we have already discussed, for import of goods also, the data will be integrated with ICEGATE portal and the data will flow from ICEGATE portal to 2A, from 2A to 2B, from 2B to GSTR 3B, ICEGATE to 2A, 2A to 3, 2A to 2B, 2B to 3B. Now, with this, the rules 36 sub-rule 4 will not have any relevance because ITC will be allowed based on the credit appearing in GSTR 2A. So, invoice level matching of credit of the entries made by your suppliers. In the initial days of GST, the credit was allowed as per your books of accounts and reconciliation of 2A was required. Then the government introduced Rule 36(4), wherein it mentioned that the variation can be up to 20%. Then they reduced the variation to 10%. Now the government with the new modified returns are saying that whatever is reflecting in GST at 2A will appear in 2B. From 2B it appears in 3B automatically, no manual interference. So this way, indirectly, government is trying to say is the ITC which is available in 2A will be available in 3B. 100% matching should be done and there is no variation allowed. I repeat, earlier the government said 20% variation is allowed, then they reduced it to 10%. Now with this invoice level matching of 2B to 2A to 2B to 3B, the variation is totally eradicated. Now there is a small issue in this, or maybe several issues, other issues will also come up as these new modified returns will be implemented. One of the major issues is that in case of small taxpayers having aggregate annual turnover up to rupees 1.5 crore, having aggregate annual turnover up to rupees 1.5 crore, they are required to file GSTR1 returns on a quarterly basis, whereas they file GSTR3B on a monthly basis. So GSTR1 is filed on quarterly basis, GSTR3B is filed on a monthly basis. Now, how the reconciliation or transfer of data or auto population of data between 1 and 3B will be done in this scenario? So the issue is when the small taxpayers are filing the quarterly returns of GSTR1 and monthly returns of GSTR3B, how the auto population will be done is a big question mark. Auto linking of GSTR1 with GSTR3B for outward supplies. So now I'm just concluding the presentation with two major points. One is that your outward supplies will be linked from GSTR1 to GSTR3B. Second, your ITC will also be linked from 2A to 2B to 3B. And this is how the information will flow. That's it for this video. If you have any queries or suggestions, you can mention them as a comment below. If you like this video, do click on the like button, share it with your friends and relatives. And if you haven't subscribed to our channel, click on the subscribe button and click on the bell icon just beside the subscribe button to get notified whenever we upload new videos. Thank you for watching.